So the year is 1716 and you're a world-class economist and you're looking to get incredibly wealthy and rise up the ranks of the European elites. Now you've been traveling all across Europe building up your notoriety and you see the great nation of France is struggling. Their current king is only a child while his supervisors struggle to fix the absolute mess that the previous king, King Henry the 14th, had created, borrowing gold from other different nations and using all the country's gold to build his absolutely immaculate palace. This had put huge financial pressure on the country as it was largely in debt, and inflation was causing much of its population to go into poverty. Now, while most see this as a country to stay away from economically because it's been put in pretty much ruin, you see this as a great opportunity to come in and impose your ideas and fix the country's problems, creating huge wealth for yourself as well as creating power. So step one for your brand new project was to introduce paper money instead of gold. This would allow you to control the currency through things like banking, and it wouldn't be that hard to convince the people to transfer to, as it's much more convenient to carry around paper money than it is to carry around gold. So you move from England to France and you set up a meeting with the king's supervisors in order to convince them of this idea. Them being incredibly desperate, they think it's a great idea, and France switches to paper money, all controlled by you. Now all the people go to the banks and they swap out their gold for a receipt, which is paper money. So supposedly, the money they get in exchange is the direct equivalent to the amount of gold they give them. However, this doesn't always work out. If you print more paper money than there is gold in the bank, then that paper money becomes worth less because it's supposed to be attached to the amount of gold that is in the bank. That only becomes a problem if people want to take their gold in exchange for their paper money. Because hypothetically, if they never pull out their gold, then you could print as much money as possible and people still think it's directly related to that amount of gold. But let's hold that thought, because now you've set up the base, it's time to go into step 2, which is really going to make you ridiculously rich. Now see, King Henry the 14th discovered a land in America called Louisiana, Mississippi, which is supposed to be riddled with gold, jewels, fertile farmland, etc. A new world of wealth. And as a new powerful man in the country, you see this is a huge opportunity to build incredible wealth for you and the country. So you begin to sell shares of Louisiana, Mississippi, in promise of a huge expedition that will go over there to mine these untapped wealthy lands. So you issue these shares to something that doesn't really exist yet, and they sell out instantly. As the public is in so much desperation to create wealth as their whole country has been falling apart economically, they see this share that can generate huge amounts of money for them, so of course they're going to look to buy it. Now, since everyone wanted these stocks, people were trying to buy them off each other. So on August 1st, 1719, the shares were worth about $2,700. By the end of August, they were worth $4,200. And by the 2nd of December, they had hit $10,000. Now, the people are making all this money with these stocks, and you don't really have anything that exists, so why don't you just keep selling the stocks? So that's what you're going to do. Every 2 weeks, you're going to issue thousands more stocks. People are selling their houses, people are getting huge loans, all to buy this stock because it will not stop going up. And because you now control the money system, you can print infinite amount of money for people to keep on buying this stock. People can get loans, and because there's no limit to the amount of gold you have, because now you use paper money, you can just keep printing it. By the end of August, you've paid back the entire country's national debt. The economy is thriving. People have become millionaires overnight. People are on the equivalents of hundreds of thousands of dollars salary just renting out their backs and pens for people to write on to sign new stock papers. And this is all on the back of your brilliance. You've sold something that you don't even really have yet, an idea to get the people rich. You've been able to boost the economy 10, 100 times by simply being able to print more money because it's no longer based on the value of gold. And through selling these shares that doesn't even mean anything, you're now just as rich as royals. You pretty much are royalty, and controlling the whole financial system, you have unlimited power almost, and you've pretty much done it within a year. But here's the problem: you haven't really provided any value, and everything is based on a lie. In all reality, there's really only 1/5 the amount of gold compared to the relative value of paper money. So when one rich man decides to pull up to the bank one day and decides he wants to exchange all of his paper money for gold, you start sweating a little bit because he walks out with 5 carriages worth of gold. And word starts to get around that there's only really 1/50 amount of gold compared to the relative value of paper money. And all of the Mississippi stock had to be bought with paper money. And what goes up must come down. So even quicker than the money was created, it starts to disappear. With the whole French population trying to panic sell all their Mississippi stock all at once, it drops to $1,000 from 10,000 pretty much instantly, and then quickly drops off to being worth absolutely nothing. And everyone trying to exchange their paper money for gold, which the banks no longer have. You and the French government have to attempt to devalue gold as much as possible. So you ban the trading of gold in all stores so people can't even use it. And they put out a royal policy in order to devalue the actual value of gold in the country. So even if you have gold, it's no longer worth as much. But paper money isn't worth anything either because you've printed too much of it. Now you've had your fun, you've made your wealth, and it's time to flee the country. So you take what you have, you take some gold from the bank, and you disappear. You might get to retire on some nice island or something. It's not the fairy tale ending we wanted, but it just goes to show that if you want to create long-term wealth or long-term fame and success, you actually have to provide value to people. The people that might create the most money or the most fame quickly as possible generally don't provide too much value, but they provide something trendy that generally plays on your insecurities. In this case, it was John Wall in the Mississippi bubble. But is it really that much different to cryptocurrency and FTX today? Or even just the trendy influencers that pop off one day and disappear the next day, get their billions of views, create a lot of money, and then just fall off the face of the planet because no one really has to care what they're speaking about. They were fun while they lasted, but that's really it. So if you wanted to really do this today, it wouldn't really be that much difficult. You can really just try sell people the promise of getting rich, make a ton of money, people won't like you, and then you're gonna have to disappear. And you might make a ton of money, and you can disappear off to some cool island. Maybe you even did something illegal like FTX, and you just happen to be paying off politicians, so you can kind of just, take that a little bit advantage that you have with your political power and just disappear. See, history doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it does rhyme. So if we look at historical businesses and things of that nature, then you can kind of find out what to start and what type of investments to avoid at all costs so that you don't get caught up in a scam or a scheme just like this or FTX or any other get-rich-quick scheme. The scariest part about this was it's backed by the government, and what's to say that things aren't being backed by the government today that are a scam? Literally, I keep talking about FTX, but it's a perfect example of how something like this can even happen in today's modern society. But either way, man, let me know what you guys thought of the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Comment down below any kind of businesses that you don't want to scam the world with, where you don't want to make your billions of dollars, your trillions of dollars. Think about how crazy it is. John Law really saved a whole country's economy. That's trillions of dollars today with a scam. It obviously only worked temporarily, but he's still able to generate that kind of revenue.